Hey, Eli, you know, yo, today is the day we're going to learn about this evil man, very evil man, a very evil man. I'm gonna share the whole screen, even though I have my name's gonna. I don't care. Okay, window capture. Nah, the whole screen. That's a shame in there. It's, for, for, I believe we should. It's right. Hey, God. And this one is like, not even there. To light. So you need to us to the it's just uh, structure to show the rich complexity of equal culture before that faces the European chapters 1 to 14 make up part one of the novel. This section focuses entirely on establishing the traditions, laws, and social structures of Morphia, while tracking the dramatic rise and sudden fall of tragic tra- Chapter 1, so gradual, we're introduced to a man driven by an intense fear of failure and weakness. His father, Unaka, was a debater who died in shame, leaving Okonkwo obsessed with proving his own strength, wealth, and masculinity. Sheer hard work, Okonkwo becomes a wealthy yam farmer, a fierce race league champion, and a respected leader in the movement clan. So that should be chapter one. So no, right, it's still not. The person that he defeated was Amalinze the cat. He was 18 at the time. Was 18 at the time. Then after that, his fame had grown like a bushfire in the heart of army matter. So they say describe him. When say it was totally huge and his shape the house and wide nose gave him very superior look. In other words, if you got WWE over Femi, the yeah, it's like over Femi, okay? Like over Femi. Okay. So like this was wrong. Obviously, this kind. But she didn't mean this. Okay. This, it's, this is oh, this is man from Morpheus is murdered by an neighboring clan. A young boy named Ethan Funa given to Morpheus as a peace offering. He is placed in Okoko's care, quickly becomes a part of the family, growing, so, growing especially close to Okoko's eldest son. Right. So, we're going to the book. So, mind you, I didn't have any preparations. So, church, so it's Kimifuna was from the village of Mbweni. Mistake should be there. Okay, nice. My computer's going to suffer. Okay. Right. Summarize the book at least. Okay. At least. So, I uh, say prophetic actually. Chapter one. We're gonna talk about chapter one. So, yeah. Chapter one to four. I'm gonna read this. Let me tell you prophetic. Then do this. Do this. But no, no, no. It's not gonna. I'm not stupid. The points that I'm so the summarized questions was uh, unfortunately I can't show the picture. Not even I can't show the picture. Like bro, it's going to be a step. Like that stream. I did not link Streamlabs at all. This- Yeah, you got people and make it offensive. You know, when you okay, the questions was the questions was how open call was failure. Oh no, is a fierce wrestling champion and a respected leader in the of your client. Second question. Okonkwo's father. He had no patience with his father because his father had was the system is reading from the AI was to get myself with the I said he had no patience with his father. You know, but people book, book. I think I freestyled this thing. Yeah, literally. He had no patience. No patience with my really yes. Okay. This will probably I told him go. It was provided by taking out along the what was part of how wine allow and always whenever he saw a gentleman of body not but move on him the father and improvising the hard worker when we can and characteristic this provide coming back when I did not get out up in my work not I listened to it. I remember what the teacher said before ultimately we came. We had to teach teachers because they were complaining. I don't know why. But yeah, the improvisations that I did in chapter 3 to 4, like, that one, and, like, Unoka, we had a thing, like, a fun play. He completely over the proverb, like, he is going to the language, and it's like, it's something down on my list, okay, review it, and ritual. So, this place before, before this video somehow gets copyright strike. The book, it, I assume that it's heavy. So if this video gets taken, if this stream gets taken down and I get copyright strike, cooked. My nigga, we cooked. Okay? It's been looking for. Yeah, okay. He owed me, was it a bitter? He owed every neighbor some money and a few queries, quite potential amount. So, still, basically me. And I had a slight uh, a Hackett and more people expect when he was drinking, saying on his was very good on his feet. And his happiest moments were the 2 or 3 moves after the harvest when the village musicians out their instruments and above the fireplace, fireplace, fireplace. There's a period after. Maka would play them everything, sweet game, and everything. Freshness, peace. Sometimes another village would ask me about them. Locals tired and they dancing. The Igbo Igbo, it's coming out. It's coming out. It's coming out. It's coming out. Okay. The language is coming out. Come and stay with them and teach them. They would go to such posts as long as 3 or 4 months making music and feasting, feasting, and feasting, feasting. So love and good fellowship, and he loved this season of the year. When it the rain and the sun was in the morning, it hasn't it wasn't hot either. But and glad our mountain when was going down. Okay, so if you like, um, is it in the book? So if not, yeah, I'm just gonna keep my I'm I know it's a It's literally a summary of the novel. Why am I using AI? You know, we get it. We get it, man. We get it. I'm not teaching you. I'm teaching myself. So like, so if you somehow relate to what I'm doing, so free, just boom. Okay. Chapter 5 to 7. Turning point. Turning point. Just speaking for that. These chapters highlight book cultural celebrations, like the Feast of the New Year, and deeply humanized in Game of Thrones plays in the household. Coco goes far to boy, but hides his affection, feeling any emotion other than anger as a sign of weakness. After after after, after 3 years, the heroes, the kings, the cadets, Game of Thrones must be killed. Izedu, a respected leader, so Conco, because your father do not bear a hint in his death. However, when the elders take him further into the forest to execute him, the boy runs to Okonkwo for protection, afraid of looking weak to the other men. Okonkwo draws his machete, thus thinking for himself. This act deeply traumatizes Lawyer and fractures his relationship with his father. This should be a sign Okonkwo is an evil man. Easy. When I was bored, I actually read the book. So chapter 17, I was like, I'm going over. Why am I doing this? Like, it, it's the thing. If you're a bookworm, it's a very, very interesting book. The problem is the teacher that is teaching you. Chapter 5, sorry, my bad. Chapter 8 to 10. Culture, justice, grief. Okonkwo sinks into a deep depression following the murder, but he tries to snap out of it by focusing on tribal matters. We see the complex legal and spiritual systems of the clan. The Igugu, ancestral spirits. The elders of the clan, including Okonkwo, act as a supreme court to justice, community disputes, and domestic violence. In other words, GPV, okay? Do not please. You can't from bullshit because you don't know what's domestic violence. But here's we prevail. The second point is Emma's illness. Conco's favorite daughter, Izema, was dangerously ill with a fever. She is believed to be a Obanje, a wicked child who repeatedly dies and is reborn to torment his mother. His desperate attempts to save her yoga rare glimpse of his capacity to care. I did not do something. After I do something, I did not. I think stuff. Obviously, Okoko listen to the shit. I'm gonna build this by I'm not gonna read the book. I'm not gonna touch the book yet. Okoko just goes blackout drunk, drinking his, palm wine. Furious finest drink, and he's still drinking to this thing. The better. I'm not good. I'm just joking. But yeah, but he, oh, you know, so absolutely okay. Killing boy, a newborn son, and a boy that told your father, trying to forget about it. Because why? You put your ego, um, literally, you put your ego first or your own child. Okay, it's not blood. It did not come from his side. But the boy called him father at the day they called, and then to a point where the son absolutely fucking needs him. He hates a strong one, but you know, maybe not. Um, still chapter 12 now, chapter 6 now, chapter 8. Obviously, who did not eat any food for 2 days after the death of Ike Mefuna. He drank all night from morning till night, and his eyes were red and fierce like the eyes of a rat when it was caught by the tail and dashed against the sun. No, yeah, so sit down with, with him in his obi. And actually, I have to put an AI again. So, what was it? Search this. I'm going to something like it in my tree is I have to keep position setters and OB. Okay. She can straight up. That's the point. She can holiday face. Hell no. Yeah, you know, he is is a central living headquarters reception hut. Welcome to the main hall. You know, anyways, that's the way to read the fucking book. I'm not reading the whole page for obvious reasons. I don't know when I get back. I still want to be a big YouTuber. I'm not gonna go to streaming university to forget it. But the boy was afraid of him and slipped out of the hut as soon as he noticed him closing. He did not sleep at night. He tried not to think about Ikemefuna, but the more he tried, the more he thought about him. So he got out of bed and walked out about his compound, but he was so weak that his legs could hardly carry him. He felt like a drunken giant walking with the limps of a mosquito. Now and then a cold shiver descended on his head and spread down his body. On the third day, he asked his wife, Ikwefi, to roast plantains for him. She prepared it the way he liked, with slices of well bean and fish. Have eaten for 2 days. Sorry. You haven't eaten for 2 days now. Actually, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, anyways. Said his daughter is when she brought the food to him. She, oh, sorry, so you must finish this. She sat down and stretched her legs in front of her. She sat down and stretched her legs in front of her. ate the food absent-mindedly. She would have been a boy. Sorry, she would have been a boy, thought as he looked at his 10-year-old daughter. He passed her a piece of fish. Go and bring me some cold water. I'm sorry. Go and bring me some cold water. A big ring. Is it racist? I don't know. I'm sorry. He said, Isma rushed out of the hut, chewing the fish, and soon returned with a bowl of water from the earthen pots in her mother's hut. Coco took the and from her and gulped the water down. He ate a few more pieces of the plantain and pushed the dish aside. My bag, he asked, said, is in my thoughts. His goatskin bag end of the hat. He searched in for his snuff bottle. It was a tube and took almost a little back of his arm. It contained other things. Apart from his snuff bottle, there was a drinking horn in it, also a drinking gourd. They looked at each other. He searched. He searched. When he brought out the snuff bottle, he tapped it a few times against his new cap before taking some snuff out of his left hand. He remembered that he had not taken out his snuff spoon. He shut the bag again and got out a small flat ivory spoon with which he carried the brown snuff to his nostrils. Sniff. Snuff sniff. Can you hear by the name? Snuff is sniff. So if the someone mentions so unnecessary thing, remember what sniff is snuff in Nigeria. Anyway, Izema took the dish in one hand and the empty water bowl in the other and went back to her mother's hut. She would have been a she would have been a boy. Okonkwo said to himself again. His mind went back to Ikamafuna and shivered. If only he could find some work to do if be able to forget. But it was the season of rest between the harvest and the next planting season. The only what anyways, I'm not continuing. Chapter 11 to 14 and high stakes as spiritual select the culture takes a center stage in the trend the priestess of Advala, in other words, a female priest, takes it to scare sacred and see, and see, okay, okay. Sacred changes the night, forcing a terrified quickly, because it was not a distance. It's a clear, right? Is it who had walked through the traditional canon from considered to as the absolutely peaceful, fierce 60-year-old son, killing clansmen, female, very tried and tried their instinct. In Nigeria, and my destiny of goddess, punishment is strict, and his family are banished from Umofia for 7 years. Exiled He is going to friends. So, guys, you are in the destiny of this tree. Said yes, very true. So his chief agreed. I just didn't apologize. No, like, yeah, right. Excellent. So, like considering, the tribe was fucking strict. Yeah. And he's in chapter 14. People are living in Mart. And sexual is taken by his saying, Chedu, Chedu, his husband stays status. Chedu gently reminds him that his mother's homeland is a place of comfort and refuge during times of peace. And 15 still fear weakness, restricted for everything the concord is a reaction against this lazy, gentle father. This question. It did Okonkwo kill Kingofuna? Hatred, but out of absolute terror of becoming effeminate in front of the masculinity versus feminine energies. The equal culture in between masculine strength, yams and titles. Feminine tenderness, stories within protection and the earth gods. Those downfall happens because he jumps off and traits. The key contrast is trying as the female and because it was excellent. His punishment focuses him to go to his mother's matter to heal shoulder. And then life was apart, he was returned to slash feminine for comfort. Fate. Number three, fate versus personal will. Cheap. Says she is the personal spirit of destiny. Don't experience when his own stubbornness. It's this. He tried to force his chi to make him successful, but his plan ultimately broken. If you symbols are calculated, yams, king of clubs, they descend on Morphia in chapter 7. They symbolize the upcoming arrival of white colonizers to settle on it. And the Igugu, the Igugu, yeah, spirits representing ancestral depth. They show that Morphia has a highly sophisticated legal and social system before the if we ultimate symbol is death, spiritual turning point, the Okonkwo's household begins to fracture. Uh, because see how he answers. It's gonna give me absolutely rubbish question, but sure. But in chapter one is described as Okonkwo's really passion, very driven. You see, many chapters widely described as Okonkwo's ruling passion and primary driver of his behavior. The fear of himself, especially the fear of resembling his father. The text explicitly states that Okonkwo's life is dominated by the fear of failure and weakness, which he associates entirely with his mother's unfit nature, socioeconomically slash unfit nature inside, basically. Not after, no, not even after, not a, a type of shit. Like, I like it, man. Uh, having a soft, okay, I'm getting canceled, maybe just showing his feminine side, like soft side, like uh, uh, how can I explain this? I must say, like I am, like you feel you have like a manly side and a feminine side. So, you know, but you're soft, so soft and kind. So yeah, that's a specific warning because where he is able to get the execution of the execution to have they completely see faces details up there and he's able to advise Okoko to distance himself from the killing because uh, so um, that has formed between them, warning that participants in the all events. But he does I he can find initially before since the decisions of many people, the California contract, it rebellions and becomes jealous and success in California standing on the house for class. It's to show how much national that's they can be around to it. Say to it should look at me as an different because it was inability so it's fun. Like so it was fun to of way to why is the significance of that principle. That's the great challenge. This challenge. So, yeah, I'm back. I'm back. Since yeah. So, okay. So, check this out. Foreshadow the arrival of the white colonizers who will soon be selling and consume resources of you. Second, also consumes is a 3 a.m. season. I'm trying to remember everything. I mean, being genuine, being genuine. I'm trying to remember every fucking thing. Yo, it's amazing. Trying to remember everything. Oh shit, but a lot. Just hang it. Slap. The computer. Okay. Stop. Yeah. It on. He breaks Moya's trust in his father and it's become this spiritual snap inside of him, pushing him away from evil traditions. Okay. Uncle's father, gentle musician of the conversation, hates war and I heavily in depth, without any titles. And I know it's a pathetic man that lived a very beautiful life. Oh, I keep all I must say, because literally that's fucking it. That's really it. It's okay. Okay, it's different. Simple. This is very bad. Tomorrow should be so big to spend 7 years of exile. Jim's primary purpose in writing chapter part one of that chapter 1 to 14, to demonstrate that the pre-colonial African society was complex, sophisticated, religious, and ordered, rather than a lawless band of savages. Thank you. Cool. Cool, cool. So now we're going to go to this, the text, the textbook, the books, because not just ordinary book. This is a caps. Then so reading the summary of the novel, part one of basically Okonkwo's life in Ethiopia. So part one, Okonkwo is introduced when 20 years before the start of the main storyline, late 1800s or the early 1900s. What, where was Ethiopia and the neighboring of the clan? What? Okonkwo gains fame as the great wrestler and overthrows Malinze the cat. Number one, and Okonkwo is introduced when throughout Okonkwo's childhood, 20 years or more before the start of the main storyline, where Noga's compound and Obi, but Noga, but rather is a gentle, lazy man who dies, leaving dead, and without ever having taken and without ever having taken a title is ashamed of him. And then we come to chapter two. Ikebufuna comes to Menomorphia when the beginning of the main storyline around the turn of the previous century, in other words, the late 1800s, where Fred Bueno, uh, next door, neighboring village. But the men of Umofia gathered to discuss the murder of one of their women in the neighboring village of Bueno. It is decided that Okonkwo will lead a mission to Bueno to present an ultimatum. To avoid war, the people of Bueno gave a young virgin and a boy named Antumofia. Ikemefuna goes to live in Okonkwo's household, which he rules in a fiery temper. Chapter 3. Okonkwo makes his own start in life when the late 1800s or the early 1900s, obviously in Morphe. But Okonkwo knows that he will get no inheritance from his father. He goes to a wealthy man named Mwabile, 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 yeah, Mwabile, and negotiates a share in agreements to obtain 800 seed yams. The growing season is plagued by bad weather and the harvest is poor. But Poor survives. Naka dies. Chapter 4. Ikemefuna adapts to his new life Okonkwo breaks the peace in the week of peace when the late 1800s or 1900 or the early 1900s. Obviously, in Mufia, I'm going to be repeating that multiple times. But anyways, what Okonkwo shows a little patience with a man whom he perceives to be inferior to himself. Ikemefuna is afraid and sick at first, but he soon adapts, and Okonkwo is inwardly fond of him. During the week of peace, Okonkwo beats his third wife heavily for neglecting to prepare his afternoon meal. In other words, an abusive motherfucker. Drinking liquid. Anyways, fuck, fuck. So Zerni, the priest of the earth goddess, orders Okonkwo to make a sacrifice to Ani, the earth goddess. Koko and his son and Ikemefuna plant the seed yams just before the start of the rainy season. Right, chapter 5. The Feast of the New Yam, evidence of Okonkwo's fiery temper. Family life includes food. Later the same year, at the end of the growing season, in the middle of the chapter, we are told a story from Ikwefi's memory of when she first fell in love with Okonkwo many years ago, where obviously in Umofia, what? The people of Umofia prepare to give thanks to the earth goddess. Okonkwo Okonkwo and I don't time frustrating his wives, his wives and children are excited. He beat his second wife, Gwefi, because he thinks she has killed one of his banana trees and then fires a shot at her for muttering under her breath. Let's say, you see, Okonkwo is not a good person, but we prevail. However, Ikwefi and her daughter Izema, who have a strong relationship, look forward to the traditional wrestling match on the second day of the feasting. Kemefuna prevents the siblings from telling on Obrigeli breaks her water pot while fooling around is fond of Izema inwardly, even though he does not show affection. In other words, he wants to be manly, very manly, to get me most manly. Anyways, Chapter 6, a great wrestling match. Cielo, Chielo, Chielo, yeah, Chielo is introduced. And the second day of the feast of the New Yam, where the Umofia Ilo, or the village meeting place. I will fail if I say the village meeting place, so I'll say the Umofia Ilo. But people, people wait in excitement for the wrestling match to begin, and some preliminary matches take place. Igwefi and her friend Chielo is the priestess of Akbala, priestess, female priest. Okay, I'm going to repeat it again. Priestess is female priest. Speak about Izema, who was once expected to die, but is now expected to live. A young man called Okafor wins the final wrestling match by making a very clever move. Number 7, chapter 7. Kinefu. There's very missing things in 6, man. Because let me tell you, it's going to they're going to be asking unnecessary questions. And, we prefer to go on. So the Intimafuna is influence. Oh yeah, the locust comes leaving. The locust comes. Okonko participates in the slaying of Ikemefuna. So not the slaying, the fucking execution. When following 3 years, where Okonko's compound and Erika is in the bush outside of Umofia. Ikemefuna lives in Okonko's household for 3 years and becomes good friends with Noya. Okonko is pleased with both boys and they sit with him in his obi and he tells man, manly, manly tales. They help Okonkwo to work on other, on, sorry, not other. You see, I'm actually tweaking. I think I'm going to continue this in the morning, but until I finish, so I taking chapter one, I'm going to wake up in the morning, good enough sleep, and then, yeah. But anyways, they help Okonkwo to work on the red outer walls of the compound because descend and in great joy as the people feast on them. Okonkwo pronounces Ikemifuna's death. Grateful Izedi wants Okonkwo to have no part in it. Shintu week is the men following day as they take Ikemifuna out of Umofia. The men attack and kill Ikemefuna, and Okonkwo strikes the final blow as Ikemefuna. Sure, sure, I can't. It's actually hurts my soul, my heart, and as Ikemefuna appeals to him, calling him my father, he realizes what his father has done and is appalled and disappointed in his father. That is a very painful thing to do. Dog, it actually freaking has my soul. It genuinely does. You, he may not be your son, but what did he do? You took him in. You took him in, and he called you father, and you killed him because you didn't want to look weak. Is honestly the most pathetic thing I could ever do as a man. But at least not put my feelings into this. It's honestly like I might say this, I'm gonna say this always. This man is evil. Chapter 8. Uncle suffers a brief depression. Verika questions some traditions. Verika negotiates his daughter's price when of days following Ikemufuna's death, where Umofia, Okonkwo's compound and Oberika's compound. Okonkwo loses his appetite and cannot sleep. He berates himself for being too much like a woman. Berika invites him to participate in the negotiations of his daughter's bride's prince. To the South Africans, I think Ilobal and it's killable and because the men describe I am to you. The men discuss village business and Okonkwo starts to feel better again. Okonkwo returns to Oberika's hut. Later on, the bride's The bride price is negotiated in a traditional manner, using boomsticks to represent bags of calories. Chapter 9. The conqueror starts to feel better. Izema suffers from a fever. We find out that Izema is an Obanji, and we learn the story of the discovery of Yai Ugo Igwa. So when I mean a Nigerian, okay, 3 nights after Ikemapuno's death, the history spanning Zema's life and previous 15 years of Igwefu's life was compound. Igwefu wakes Okonkwo up, tell him that Izema has a fever and he goes out to gather medicine for her. Discover that Igwefu is the victim of the Banji, an evil spirit that possesses children so that they do not live long. The Obanji return with each successive pregnancy to be born again and again until the child's Iwa is discovered and cycle can be broken. Izemas is Igwefi's surviving child, and Iwi was discovered by a medicine man, and Izema was 9 years old. A year previously, Igwefi was anxious mother and still fears for the child. Returns with the medicine for eczema and she has to be the steam of a broom made with nectar plants. Her fever breaks and she falls asleep. Okay. Chapter 10. The eagle grew to pass judgments over various grievances. When, sometimes later, where the village Ilo, what? The name Igugu, like the eagle falls together before the village here faces. It presented that the Congo is one of the Igugu. The first case deals with a man who fight for returned to a family because he is a agent. Recent man, he is. He cannot understand why such a human case should come before him. He should rule that the man must beg his wife to return and present his in-laws with a pot of wine. They can move on to more important cases. So page of December is taken to the oracle, and later again at a time not specified, where the 9 villages of the Morphia and oracles came. What? Equator and Izema entertain themselves by telling stories at night. Cielo, that's Cielo, yeah, Princess of Akbala, Princess Priestess of Akbala, arrives uninvited and takes Izema on her back to his cave. He follows at a distance, displaying eventually, near morning, they arrive at the cave where Cielo takes Izema in. Ikofi becomes aware that Okoko is there too, as he is also concerned about Izema. Yeah, Cielo emerges from the cave and returns Zema's were home, tired but unharmed. Chapter 12. The wedding of Oberika's daughter. Then, the following day, Oberika's compound. Women in Omofia participate in preparing the meal for wedding feast, cooking on tripods, in America's compound. During the course of the afternoon, America's in-laws bring 50 pots of wine, which means the approval of the men of Umofia. And that was the highest, highest was just alcohol. It's never been uh, and women participate in traditional wedding rituals. The Simpsons family shows respect towards Okonkwo. Some stupid fucking reason, man. I'm not sure. Move on. Chapter 13. The death of Izegu. This man in the village. Later, at a time I specified, where Mufia. Izegu, the man who warned Okonkwo against participating in Ikebukwen's death, dies. Everyone, including the Igugu, attends the funeral. At the funeral, the men fire their guns as a part of the custom. His gun exploded, and a piece of metal pierced the heart of Izelu's 16-year-old son, killing him. Okonkwo and his family must flee Ethiopia, even though killing is an unintentional female crime. I think they Okonkwo and his family viewed with their most precious possessions, and Izelu's male relatives burn Okonkwo's compound to the ground, as it is custom. Chapter 14, which is two was exiled in Bata, and then ending it there, unfortunately. Yeah. When the first year of Okonkwo's exile, we're in Bata. His mom's, like, say, what? Okonkwo is well received by his mother's kinsmen, kinsmen, not king, kinsmen. They helped him to build an obi, give him a piece of land, and his cousins gave him CDMs. Okonkwo works very, so not very. Okonkwo works hard, but he feels very discouraged because he is in exile in his mother's village. Chedu, Chedu, I don't know if the N is on the name is Okonkwo's uncle, gently treats them and explains to Okonkwo that his to be grateful to his motherland and to comfort his wife and children during seventh year exam. Ladies and gentlemen, dues and cadets, um, as things fall apart from 2014, I will try and make a video of things fall apart in a nutshell. So, other than that, yeah, I think I think this is it. Thanks for if you get very reasonable. So,